It is 3:20 in the morning, and Margaret is sitting upright in bed, one hand pressed against her chest, the other clutching her throat, feeling like someone just poured battery acid directly down her esophagus. The burning is so intense it radiates up into her jaw, and for a terrifying moment she wonders if this is her heart, if she should wake her husband, if she should call 911. But then comes the familiar bitter metallic taste flooding her mouth, the acidic liquid shooting up her throat, making her gag and cough. And she knows exactly what this is because she has been living this nightmare 3 or 4 times a week for the past 2 years. Margaret is 63, a retired teacher from Oregon, and she has tried everything her doctor suggested. She takes her medication religiously. She stopped eating tomatoes and chocolate and anything remotely spicy. She even bought one of those wedge pillows that cost $80 and is supposed to keep acid down. But here she is again at 3:20 in the morning, choking on her own stomach acid, exhausted and frustrated and wondering if this is just her life now. What Margaret does not know, what nobody has told her, is that one simple natural remedy taken at a specific time could have prevented this entire episode, and I am going to show you exactly what that is. But first, you need to understand why everything she has been doing is not working. Subscribe if you want more evidence-based guidance like this. I post every week. In my 18 years treating digestive disorders, I have seen this exact pattern thousands of times. Patients doing everything right according to conventional advice, but still suffering. And the reason is not that the advice is completely wrong. The reason is that it is incomplete. It addresses symptoms, but misses a critical piece of the puzzle that changes everything. Margaret came into my office on a Tuesday afternoon, and I could see the exhaustion in her eyes before she even sat down. She told me she had not slept a full night in 8 months, that her throat felt raw all the time, that her voice was hoarse every morning until noon, that she was afraid to eat dinner with her family because she knew what was coming later. She pulled out a list of everything she had tried: proton pump inhibitors twice a day, antacids after every meal, elimination of trigger foods, smaller portions, earlier dinners, sleeping elevated, and still the acid came back night after night. I asked her one question that she was not expecting. I asked her to describe exactly what she does in the 30 minutes before bed, and as she walked me through her routine, I started to see the problem. She would finish dinner around 6:30, watch television for a couple of hours, take her medication, brush her teeth, get into bed, prop herself up on the wedge pillow, and lie on her right side because that was the side away from her husband and felt more comfortable. Right there, in that last detail, was the reason 2 years of treatment had not worked. Your stomach sits on the left side of your abdomen. This is basic anatomy, but somehow it gets overlooked constantly. The esophagus, that muscular tube connecting your throat to your stomach, comes down through your chest and connects to the upper left portion of your stomach at what we call the gastroesophageal junction. At this junction, there is a ring of muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter, and its entire job is to act like a one-way valve, allowing food and liquid to pass down into the stomach, but staying closed to keep stomach acid from coming back up. When this valve works properly, you do not experience reflux. When it weakens or relaxes inappropriately, acid escapes upward, and you get that burning sensation, that choking, that bitter taste. Now here is what most people do not realize. The position you sleep in has a massive impact on whether that valve can do its job or not. When you lie on your right side, gravity is actually working against you because remember, your stomach is on the left, so when you are on your right side, the pool of acid in your stomach is sitting right up against the gastroesophageal junction, pressing against that valve, and if the valve is even slightly weak or if you have any food still in your stomach, that acid is going to force its way up into your esophagus. But when you lie on your left side, the geometry changes completely. The stomach is below and to the left of the junction, which means the pool of acid settles away from the valve. Gravity actually helps keep it down instead of pushing it up. This is not some alternative medicine theory. This is pure anatomy and physics, and multiple studies have confirmed that left side sleeping significantly reduces nighttime reflux episodes compared to right side sleeping. Margaret had been sleeping on her right side for decades. It was comfortable, it was habit, and nobody had ever told her that this one detail was sabotaging everything else she was doing right. But here is where it gets even more interesting. There is a natural remedy that can strengthen that valve, reduce acid production, and soothe the esophageal lining, and it is something you probably have in your kitchen right now. 1 tablespoon of raw organic honey taken 30 minutes before bed. Not the processed honey in the bear-shaped bottle. I am talking about real raw honey that still contains all its natural enzymes and compounds. Raw honey has several properties that make it uniquely effective for nighttime reflux. First, it has natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory effects that can help heal irritated esophageal tissue. Second, it contains compounds that can help strengthen the lower esophageal sphincter, making that valve work more efficiently. Third, it has a thick, viscous consistency that coats the esophagus as it goes down, providing a protective barrier between the tissue and any acid that might try to come up. Fourth, and this is the part that surprises most people, honey can actually help reduce stomach acid production when taken before bed, not by blocking acid like proton pump inhibitors do, but by supporting the natural regulatory mechanisms in your digestive system. I started recommending this to patients like Margaret as part of a complete protocol, and the results have been remarkable. Drop a comment telling me what state you are in. I love seeing where this information reaches. Let me be very clear about something before we go further. This is educational content, not personal medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your treatment, and individual results may vary. Now, if you are currently taking medication for reflux, never stop without talking to your doctor first. This natural approach works best alongside proper medical supervision, not as a replacement without guidance. Also, some people need to be cautious with honey. If you have diabetes, you need to account for the sugar content and discuss this with your doctor. If you have a honey allergy, obviously do not use this, and never give honey to infants under 1 year old due to botulism risk. With those important cautions out of the way, let me tell you what happened with Margaret. I gave her a complete protocol, 4 steps that work together, and the honey was just one piece. Step 1, she switched to left side sleeping, and I showed her how to make it comfortable by putting a pillow between her knees with her upper knee slightly flexed. This keeps your spine aligned and makes the position sustainable through the night. Your lower arm can either extend under the pillow or rest alongside your body, whatever feels natural. Most people think they cannot sleep in a new position, but your body adapts within 3 to 5 nights if you are consistent. Step 2, we addressed her dinner timing. Even though she was eating at 6:30, she was going to bed at 10, which sounds like enough time. But here is what she was eating: heavy proteins, complex carbohydrates, foods that take 4 to 6 hours to fully digest. So when she lay down at 10, there was still a significant volume of partially digested food in her stomach, creating pressure against that valve. I had her shift dinner to 5:30 and switch to lighter proteins like fish or chicken with easily digestible vegetables for her evening meal, saving the heavier foods for lunch. Step 3, the honey protocol. 1 tablespoon of raw organic honey exactly 30 minutes before bed. This timing is critical. You want it to coat the esophagus and start working before you lie down, but you do not want it so early that the effects wear off before sleep. She would take the honey, stay upright for those 30 minutes, then brush her teeth, being careful not to rinse too aggressively because you want some of that honey residue to remain, then go to bed on her left side. Step 4, proper elevation. She was already using a wedge pillow, but she was using it wrong. She was propping up just her upper body, which actually makes reflux worse because it creates a bend at the waist that increases pressure on the stomach. The correct way to elevate is to raise the entire sleeping surface at the head of the bed by 6 to 8 inches. You can do this with bed risers under the legs of the bed frame or with a proper full-length wedge that supports your whole body, not just your torso. This creates a gentle incline that lets gravity help keep acid down without creating that problematic bend. These 4 steps together address reflux from multiple angles. The left side position uses anatomy and gravity, the dinner timing ensures stomach is empty enough, the honey provides natural healing and sphincter support, and the elevation adds an extra layer of gravitational assistance. Margaret implemented all 4 steps starting that Tuesday night. The first night, she noticed she only woke up once instead of her usual 3 or 4 times, and the burning was less intense, easier to manage. She could fall back asleep within 20 minutes instead of lying there for an hour. By night 3, she slept through until 5 in the morning, the first time that had happened in 8 months. By the end of week 1, she told me her throat did not feel raw anymore. The hoarseness was gone. She had energy she had forgotten she could have. After a month, she came back for follow-up, and she told me something that made me realize the true impact of what we had fixed. She said she had started laughing again at dinner with her family, that she was not watching the clock with dread, that she was not mentally preparing for the inevitable suffering that would come later. She was just living and enjoying her meals and her family. That is what happens when you address the root cause instead of just masking symptoms. Now let me give you the exact protocol you can implement tonight. For the honey, go to a health food store or order online. Look for raw organic honey. It will say raw on the label. It should be thick and cloudy, not clear and thin like processed honey. Expect to pay $10 to $20 for a good jar that will last you several weeks. Take 1 tablespoon. You can take it straight off the spoon or dissolve it in a small amount of warm water if you prefer, but do not use hot water because high heat destroys some of the beneficial enzymes. Take this exactly 30 minutes before your planned bedtime. For sleep position, if you are not used to left side sleeping, start by lying on your left side with a regular pillow between your knees. The pillow should be thick enough that your top leg is roughly parallel to the mattress, not drooping down. Your bottom arm can go under your pillow or alongside your body. If you wake up on your right side, do not stress about it. Just roll back to your left. Your body will learn the new position with consistency. For dinner timing, calculate backward from your bedtime. If you go to bed at 10, finish dinner by 6. If you go to bed at 11, finish by 7. Make your evening meal lighter in protein and fat. Focus on easily digestible foods, grilled chicken or fish, steamed vegetables, a small portion of rice or quinoa. Avoid heavy red meat, fried foods, rich sauces, large portions. For elevation, the most affordable option is bed risers. You can get a set for $15 to $30 at any home goods store. Place them under the 2 legs at the head of your bed to create a 6 to 8 inch rise. If you prefer a wedge, get a full-length wedge designed for acid reflux. These run $50 to $150, but they work well. Make sure it is long enough to support your entire torso and hips, not just your upper back. Here is what you can realistically expect in terms of timeline. Night 1, you might notice sleeping is slightly easier. Maybe you wake up less. Maybe the burning is less intense when it does occur. Nights 2 and 3, you should see a noticeable reduction in how often you wake up. The episodes you do have should be milder. By the end of week 1, most people tell me they are sleeping significantly better, waking up less frequently, experiencing less intense symptoms when they do wake. By weeks 2 through 4, the improvement becomes substantial. The esophageal tissue is starting to heal from the reduced acid exposure. The valve is getting stronger from the honey support, and many people can start reducing their medication under their doctor's supervision. After 2 months, you are looking at sustained improvement, real healing, a fundamental change in your quality of life. But I need to be clear about warning signs. There are symptoms that require immediate medical attention, and you need to know the difference. If you experience severe chest pain that radiates to your arm, jaw, or back, that could be a heart attack, call 911 immediately. If you have difficulty swallowing solids or liquids, if you are vomiting blood or material that looks like coffee grounds, if you see black tarry stools or blood in your stool, if you have unexplained weight loss over 10 pounds, these require urgent evaluation. If you have persistent symptoms despite medication and lifestyle changes for more than 2 weeks, if you develop a chronic cough that produces blood, if you have severe shortness of breath, if you experience hoarseness that lasts more than 2 weeks, or if you have pain when swallowing along with fever, get medical attention. Reflux is common and usually manageable, but sometimes symptoms that seem like reflux are actually something more serious, and you need a physician to make that determination. The honey and position protocol I am describing is meant to complement medical care, not replace it. Now, you might be wondering about long-term use of honey. Is it safe to take a tablespoon every night indefinitely? For most people, yes, as long as you account for the 15 to 20 grams of sugar in that tablespoon as part of your daily intake. If you have well-controlled diabetes and you are monitoring your blood sugar, discuss this with your doctor. You may need to adjust other carbohydrates in your evening meal to accommodate the honey. If your blood sugar is poorly controlled or you are insulin resistant, this approach may not be appropriate for you. For people without diabetes, that amount of natural sugar taken at night is generally not a concern, especially when you consider what it is replacing. If you are currently taking antacids multiple times per night, the honey is actually a healthier alternative. Some people ask if they can use other types of honey. Manuka honey, for example, is often marketed for digestive health. And yes, Manuka honey has additional antibacterial properties that can be beneficial, but it is also significantly more expensive. $30 to $60 for a small jar. And for most people, the regular raw organic honey works just as well at a fraction of the cost. The key is raw and organic. You want the natural enzymes and compounds intact. You want to avoid honey that has been heat processed or that contains additives. You can find good quality raw organic honey at Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, local farmers markets, or online through retailers like Thrive Market or directly from beekeepers. Another question I get is about combining this with medication, and the answer is yes. In most cases, this protocol works beautifully alongside proton pump inhibitors or H2 blockers. In fact, the goal for many of my patients is to eventually reduce or eliminate medication under medical supervision once the lifestyle factors are optimized and symptoms are well controlled. But that decision to reduce medication must be made with your doctor, not on your own, because stopping acid-reducing medication abruptly can cause rebound hyperacidity where your stomach produces even more acid than before. The right approach is gradual tapering under supervision while maintaining the lifestyle modifications. Let me also address sleeping position one more time because this is the change that makes the biggest immediate difference, and it is the one people resist the most. If you have been sleeping on your right side for 40 years, the idea of switching to left feels impossible, uncomfortable, wrong. I hear this constantly. But here's what I tell patients. Your comfort preference is just habit. It is not written into your DNA. Your body will adapt to a new position faster than you think. The first night might feel strange. The second night slightly less strange. By night 4 or 5, it starts feeling normal. And by week 2, it becomes your new habit. What helps is making the position as comfortable as possible from the start. Use that pillow between your knees. Adjust the thickness until your top leg is well supported. Experiment with your arm position. Some people like their bottom arm extended under their pillow. Some prefer it alongside their body. Find what works for you. If you wake up and find yourself on your right side, do not get frustrated. Just roll back to your left. This is part of the retraining process. Some people find it helpful to put a body pillow behind their back to prevent rolling onto the right side during sleep. This works especially well in the first week when you are building the new habit. The investment here is minimal. A decent body pillow costs $20 to $40. The honey costs $10 to $20 and lasts weeks. The bed risers cost $15 to $30 and last forever. You are looking at a total initial investment of roughly $50 to $100, and after that, the only ongoing cost is replacing the honey every few weeks. Compare that to spending $30 to $80 per month on over-the-counter antacids, or $150 to $300 per month on prescription proton pump inhibitors, or the hidden costs of poor sleep, lost productivity, diminished quality of life, potential long-term complications from chronic reflux like esophageal strictures or Barrett's esophagus. This is not just about saving money, though that is a real benefit. This is about addressing the problem at its source instead of endlessly managing symptoms. Margaret now sleeps peacefully through the night. She takes 1 tablespoon of honey before bed. She sleeps on her left side. Her bed is elevated. She eats dinner early and light, and she has not had a nighttime reflux episode in 6 months. She was able to stop her twice-daily proton pump inhibitor under my supervision, and now takes an antacid maybe once every 2 weeks if she eats something she knows she should not. Her energy is back, her voice is clear, her throat does not hurt. And she told me last month that she feels like she got her life back. That is what is possible when you understand the anatomy, when you work with your body instead of just throwing medication at symptoms, when you make simple changes that have profound effects. If this helped, 3 things. Hit like so more people find this, subscribe for weekly content, and share with someone who deals with reflux. Comment committing to one change you are making tonight. Those 4 actions take 30 seconds but could change everything. Thank you for watching to the end. Now go take that first step.